Hello, today we started the first lesson in the last unit of the book. It's lesson 16-1 and it's called Line Plots. You have learned how to record experiment results using a tally chart. So things like you see on the slide here are things students have done in first and second grade. Today you will learn how to record results on a number line. And we're looking at a number line like we were going to make today. And we talked about when we've used a number line in the past. Students are very familiar with number lines from previous grades. Okay, I had a basket today, and in the basket I had 8 pieces of paper. I wrote the numbers 1 through 4 on those papers. And then what I did was I drew a piece of paper, I read the number out loud, and I put the paper back in the basket. I did that 20 times. And then we used that information to make a line plot. Our line plot looked a little bit like this, with X's marking each time I drew different numbers. We had more X's than this altogether because I drew 20 numbers. Then we talked about which number was picked the most often and which number was picked least often. On the screen here we can see that the number 2 is picked the most often and 3 is picked the least often. It wasn't picked at all. Then we had a place on the line plot that said explanation, so we wrote a sentence telling the number that was picked the most and the number that was picked the least. And then we talked more about what line plots do. We use number lines to make line plots when we record the results of an experiment. We do this by making an X above each number as it's drawn. Line plots really are used by people in real life quite often. Line plots are a way to organize data, that means information, on a number line. This looks like it could be a graph, a line plot made by somebody selling cars. They were noticing that they tend to sell more cars on Thursday, and so they might use that information to maybe put more employees on shift on Thursday. Or maybe they're noticing they don't sell many on Saturdays. They only sold 2 cars on Saturdays. So they might use that information to put some sales up on Saturdays. Here's another line plot. A teacher asked her students what their favorite sport was, and she made X's to show what their answers were. Line plots need labels and titles to explain what the information means. We talked about what a title should be for our line plot. In the label, we wrote numbers in the basket for the label. And then for the title, we wrote results of drawing numbers. Okay, so this was another one we did as a class. It says 3rd grade long jump as the title. And then it has some subheadings. Student, I see here, and then you can see the number for each student. Student number 1, student 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to student number 16. And then it says distance in inches. So then there's a whole bunch of different 2-digit numbers, not in any particular order, showing the distance in inches each of these students jumped. We took the time to do this as a class. When we were done, it looked like this that you see at the top of the screen. 3rd grade long jump distances with the X's. And then question 2, at the bottom of the screen you can see how many X's should be drawn for the number of students who jumped 33 inches. You need to look and see how many times 33 shows up. It's kind of hard to see on the table, but you sure can easily see it on the line plot. 2 X's should be drawn to show the 2 students who jumped 33 inches. So looking at this, it looks like the number that showed up the most frequently was 30. There were 4 students who could jump 30 inches. And then look, no students at all could jump 32. And that happens, we just leave it blank. Okay, how about this one? Here's a graph showing April high temperatures. In the example above, what was the highest temperature recorded in April? Pause the video to think about this if you need to. Across the bottom it has the temperature in Fahrenheit degrees, and then it shows the different number of days that recorded that temperature. So a lot of people for this question answered 66. They thought 66 was the highest temperature recorded because it has the most number of X's. But actually that's not correct. The highest temperature recorded in April was 73. Now this shows there were only 2 days that got up to 73 degrees, but it was the highest temperature recorded for April. This is a different kind of a question. Use the line plot below. Which high temperature occurred most often in August? So here again we have some temperatures written across the bottom and X's above the numbers to show the different number of days that had these high temperatures. The temperature that occurred most often in August is the temperature that has the most X's. It's 63. And then 4 says, using the same line plot for exercise 4, which temperature occurred least often? Which one has the fewest X's? It's 58, isn't it? So there you have 58 is the least common temperature. 63 is the most common temperature. That was it for today.